Hey, Gabriel Blake.
Hey, Gabriel Jose.
Where are we today?
We are at our apartments because the pandemic is still a thing.
At our respective apartments. We are no longer
Not
on the
even in the
same
same
apartment.
apartment.
Yeah. So, what did we watch today?
We watched, I don't remember the year, was it 2003?
Yeah,
A movie
2003.
from about 20 years ago called The Five Obstructions, was it directed by Lars von Trier?
I think so.
Okay.
I think that is like he's the one that directed that, but it is not about him. Well, it's actually both. Both are credits. Jørgen Leth and Lars von Trier.
It makes sense. They had separate filming teams.
Yeah. So, why did you pick this movie? And is this a movie or a documentary?
I think it's a documentary
Yeah.
about regular movies. Well, short films. You can't call those
Yeah.
regular movies. Um, so it's about, and actually, tell me if
No.
my
Why did you
what?
pick it? Why did you pick it? Not
Oh,
what is
sorry.
it about? Yeah.
Why did I pick it? I picked it because it's a movie that I had seen years and years and years ago, and I thought it was really, really, really great. And you and I both have a relationship with Lars von Trier.
No, we will talk about. Don't worry, we will talk about.
Um, and I don't know. I guess I just wanted you. You hadn't heard of the film. I think it's great. I think it's a cool experiment that they did, and I wanted to watch it again. So
Yeah. So I had to say that I haven't thought about the score. So other times
neither
I
have I at
write
this
it.
point.
Yeah, other times I write it before we start recording. This time I'm a bit torn. So just for describing what is the documentary about, Jürgen Leth is basically God for Lars von Trier. And he really loves, so he's in love with a sword that he did in 1968. I think that it was that is called A Perfect Human, not The Perfect Human. That is a very artistic sword, albeit it doesn't have like a clear narrative. And it's this guy, this actor, like just in front of the camera and just doing some random stuff while there is a narration, a voiceover going over. The actor is close listen, if I remember correctly.
And there's a
So
woman.
and there is also a woman, there is a scene with him eating, smoking, plenty of other stuff, him falling into the ground. And
And
I,
it's like a pseudo-scientific sort of documentary where this like godlike voice is trying to interpret the significance of very mundane tasks like
exactly,
tying the shoe
yeah,
or laying down.
yeah. But at the same time, it's like it feels like the actor is aware of that narration. It's a bit more like, okay, that narration is happening in front of him. So it has a very 60s feeling. There is something to it that is, okay, this is an experimental 60s thing that is like, I understand that it can be impactful by those standards, but when I look at it by nowadays, I think like, what the fuck were you smoking or trying to
Because
say?
it's more, it feels like there's more style to it. Oh, we say
Yeah.
this all the time. There's more style than substance, and it's super cool. It's like the stereotypical London look in
Yep.
the 60s, the
Yep.
mod look.
Yep, yep. And it reminds me a bit of now that before we started recording, we actually mentioned Antonioni, like the aesthetics from Blow Up is like in some points you remind me of that, as you mentioned, like about like the 60s and London. But the documentary is basically uh, Lars von Trier trying to torture Jorgen Leff, asking him to re-record The Perfect Human, but just giving him different obstructions or limitations that he has to respect when creating the new film. So there are like five versions. That's the reason it's called the Five Obstructions. On the first one, I think that the first one is the one that has like the most restrictions. There is he can only use 12 frames per second. It has to be recorded in Cuba.
And it has to be recorded in a country that he has never been to.
Yeah, but they actually come to the agreement that it has to be Cuba because he's like pretty familiar with Haiti, but he had never been to Cuba. And there was another one that I don't remember, but
Hold on.
oh, you had the
I've
list
got it
there?
right here. Yep.
Yeah.
He must remake the film in Cuba. There cannot be a set. No shot
Mm,
lasting longer than 12 seconds, which is one half of a second.
yeah.
Um, and he must answer the questions posed in the original film.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, that God voiceover narration he presents some questions about like why does he fall into the ground? Why does he jump? What is he doing? What is he thinking? And some of them they're like just left in the air. It's not that they're like just so critical, it's I think that it's more like the artistic exercise. But in this case it's going to be a bit more like just trying to narrate a bit more, like just coming into okay, he falls because he trips. I don't remember that that's the case, but it's okay. They actually there is some kind of response. I had the feeling that is like some of the obstructions that they are presented, they are interpreted in a bit more of a loose way.
Also, I don't think you've seen The Perfect Human in its entirety. We only
Exactly.
saw flashes of it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
on YouTube though. If anyone wants to watch it, all two of you.
Yeah, so that was the other thing that I didn't like that they maybe play like 10 minutes out of the 13 minutes of the short, but I would have appreciated more if they had played the whole thing from the beginning to the end. Just
Yeah, I
testing
think
the
as
limit.
directors, they made an assumption that going in, people would have seen the original film.
But they still play many, many snippets,
Yeah, yeah. But they don't
So,
provide an understanding of, hey, this is what the
yep,
film is. Now
yeah.
they're going to remake it.
And to be completely fair, I think that the shorts, they don't last as long as the original one, the ones that they produce.
They're much longer than we actually saw. And when I rented this originally, it had all of
they
the
had it?
actual films
Nice.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part that I miss because they're like some of the. I mean, I think that they're all incredible. Sorry, the first fourth one, they are incredible. The last one, I felt I was like, holy shit, Lars von Trier, that's what I hate you. So the thing is, like, Lars von Trier he tries to actually just toy with Jørgen Leth. Basically, he tries to be that narration voiceover, like that kind of God narration with him about like just giving him this kind of homework that it gets to a point that it feels almost like psychological torture. So the second obstruction is it asks Jørgen Leth to go to the most miserable place on earth that he can think of and record
So
there.
can I
He has
stop
to
you
be
right there
dead.
and
Yeah.
read one thing? So yeah, he's completely trying to ruin this thing that he finds perfect because in the film, he described the perfect human being as a little gem we are now going to try and ruin. So basically, he gives all these arbitrary rules to try and make Jørgen Leth make an imperfect film.
True. But at the same time, he also tortures him. He actually goes into this area that we were discussing. I don't know if it was the last time or a couple of days ago, about him being a bit manipulative. So after Jørgen Leth comes back with an amazing sword from India, from the second obstruction, that is incredibly, I don't know, like shocking, like seeing all those poor people, like just looking from behind the transparent, like panel. Is like he has
a feast.
Well, he's the feast that is like, holy shit, that has to be disturbing, like being the actor on this. And he keeps like complete composure while he's doing that. And he tells us like, yeah, that's beautiful. That's way more beautiful than when I asked you, but I want you to go back and do the film that I wanted. And you can see like Jørgen Leth feeling like, I'm never going to do that.
But it's not. He said it's a beautiful film, but he didn't follow the rules. And
that part
is pretty accurate.
The reasoning is pretty accurate, but there is like this kind of pushback from Jørgen Leth is that I can't do that. I can't. And he actually explains like why psychologically this is something that would destroy me. It's like even like going back after so many years, it was really hard. I cannot go back again. It's just insane to me. But he still like just keeps but you didn't give me what I wanted. That is like you are just basically manipulating him, just knowing the pain that he went through for actually just creating this amazing piece, and you want him to suffer again. It almost feels like I don't care about the artistic beauty. I care about you suffering, having to recreate this.
So if you think after he creates each short, Jørgen Leth, they either together or over the phone, they watch the films together. And before they watch the films, they're coming together as two friends, and they are real life friends. And Lars von Trier says something each time. You look way too happy. You need to look like you were beaten up. Like this is acceptable, because he was really trying to break down his friend's psyche. Like that's the point of this, was to break something of his.
God, look, I mean, I get it, and that's the reason why he actually asked for the cartoon. I think that he's just trying to push him over the edge, like
so
well,
just chronologically, he succeeded with Cuba, failed with India, because you refused to go back to India, the next obstructions was go make this however you want, but remake it.
Yeah, so basically he told us like, what about if you had to watch The Perfect Human, sorry, like remake The Perfect Human by nowadays standards, with no restrictions. You can do whatever you want. I love that one. Honestly, I mean, I love the four of them. Is like I felt like, okay, you actually are like a creative director. Is that you can actually
Yes.
pull this out? Is that the only one that I feel like I don't know how much you are cheating here is on the cartoon one, on the fourth one. That is like, okay, it's beautiful, but at the same time, it's like you had external help, like a lot of external help that they presented about like, yeah, I had these ideas. It's like, yeah, you're contribution, this, all of them.
Well, but sure, but a director isn't like running the camera and doing the cinematography and doing the editing.
Sure, but at the same time, I had the feeling that he didn't produce the initial vision about what he wanted to accomplish. It was a bit more like, okay, I'm going to be
He
giving you
passed
the
over all
short.
that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah,
He's
it's like,
like,
I'm going
make
to be
something.
exactly. Just suggest me what would you like to do, and it's basically all the how do you say like drafts that the guy Soskin in Texas, I think that it was,
Mhm.
is like he used all of them. He's like, oh, I like this one, but I don't like this one so much. He's like, and then you see it on the shot. They say, no, you use all of it. The only thing is like in different orders, and they're all great. They're amazing. And the thing is like that he says that both Lars von Trier and Jørgen Leth, they say like, we hate cartoons. And they say like multiple times like, I hate cartoons.
I've never seen one that I like. Well, neither have I. I've never
Yeah,
seen one
I've
I
seen
like.
it. Come on. I mean, you're like just trying really hard to make a point here. That almost felt like just that there was a point that it felt like it's a bit more disingenuous, a
But
bit
I
more.
actually really liked his phone conversation afterwards, and he's like, "Fuck, I think Lars von Trier got me. I hate cartoons. Like this is the worst obstruction he could have given me."
I get that part. I get that part, but at the same time, I felt like that kind of reinforcement on the feeling. And then when it was produced, it's like, okay, it's not about like an artistic cartoon. It has to be like the kind of cartoons that we hate. At that point, I thought that they were going to be like talking with the creator of Ren and Stimpy. Honestly, that's what I had in my mind. Is that no, they went exactly with an artistic cartoon. They went with a rotoscopic kind of a style. That is a look. This is RC. This is not a cartoon. This is not the Looney Tunes.
It's not, and I wonder if in Danish they said animated versus cartoon, because at least as an American, a cartoon is something you see on Saturday morning on TV or Nickelodeon.
Exactly.
Animated could be, there have been very like Persepolis, right? I wouldn't call
Yeah,
Persepolis a cartoon, but it's animated.
yeah, it's animated. I mean, I could still call it a cartoon, but this show from Prime Video, Undone, I don't know, you watch it?
Mm,
Did you?
no,
With Wolf Odenkirk. So is that this kind of how do you call that animation?
stop
Uh,
motion.
no, it's not a stop motion. It's like the ones that is almost feels like you recorded the actors and then you animated them.
Yeah, which is basically what Jørgen Leth's fourth
Yeah.
film was. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah. So from that perspective, I felt like I think that you're cheating on this one. Is that first, it was not your vision. You actually gave the sword to someone else instead of actually trying to create your own vision of this. And second, I think that this is exactly what they said that we don't want to have an RC cartoon. Is that this is an RC cartoon? So I felt like, sure, I mean, you like it, of course, because it's exactly what you pretentious assholes will like. So,
but
yeah.
go ahead. No, finish your thought on this.
So actually, that connects me to about like how I feel about this movie. I think that we have summarized. Sorry, I haven't mentioned the fifth obstruction.
Yeah,
The
don't
fifth
do that yet.
Okay, so this actually summarizes a bit about like, how I feel about Lars von Trier, and we mentioned it like, multiple times. I think that he's a pretentious asshole. I think that he actually has like good ideas, but how he presents it is about like how try to build more self-importance that he deserves. Now, I think that he's bolder than almost anyone else making cinema. He's like willing to just take some kind of risk. I think that is an amazing exercise. It's like I found like okay, most of the obstructions they work out pretty well, and they actually portray like different perspectives on it. The one of like being completely free with what you record, I find it like mesmerizing. That one, I love it. And
I
the
love
one
that
in
too.
And the one in India, it was like just so shocking, but I still like respecting the original format that I felt like it's a good reimagining, and it's a good exercise. The one on Cuba, I felt like it's a bit weird, I was expecting like a bit more of a creative approach with the 12 frames because it doesn't say like 12 frames per second. It says that they can only be 12 frames. So I thought that it was going to be like just making them like a bit longer.
But I still feel like the result was incredibly elegant. It was really, really cool the way that
Yeah,
they did it.
yeah. I mean, it actually shows that Jørgen Leth has talent, like an amazing talent for just pull that out. Because it's what I was saying is like 12 frames per second is basically a destructive restriction. I don't know what to do with it.
And it's
So
interesting was when he's super freaked out by it when Lars von Trier tells him that that's one of the obstructions. But then he basically gets to Cuba and figures out immediately what he's going to do. And he's in the pool and he says the 12 frames limitation was a paper tiger. Like, oh, actually it was a gift. I was super afraid of it. And I realized that it made the film for me. I just liked it. I liked it so much.
yeah, yeah. I mean, clearly he's a talented director, and I like that Lars von Trier basically is just playing. At that point, that was 2003. They started recording in 2001. It's like 2 years of recording while he tortures Jørgen Leth. And at that point, Dogma is something that is like it has already like come and gone, but it had like the same kind of feeling that he likes the idea of we are our best when we give ourselves some restrictions, when we actually try to force ourselves into just being creative with some self-set restrictions. That was what Dogma,
Arbitrary
yeah,
restrictions.
arbitrary completely. It's like Dogma. I hate that he says that he's going to be like saving cinema through this. Is I think that you are like just pretty over the top. Just how you evaluate yourself, but you are doing that. Is that you're giving yourself restriction and say like, what about if we actually remove everything that makes cinema? All the smoke and mirrors, and we only focus about narrating a story. What would you do? So I think that that's a good principle. That's what I think that Lars von Trier signs, and it's like it actually pushed himself in a way that not many other directors could do. They could even like just consider about doing something like that. So I think that is like a really good character that cinema is, and I wish that we had more people like that. But I still have like a love-hate relationship with him.
So it's an interesting thought. I think everything you said is completely valid, and I hadn't even thought to compare what they did with Dogma. Kind of, they never really made many films doing it, but they wrote the rules, and how that can improve your creativity. And so my reading and what I enjoyed of the first four is that Lars von Trier thinks his style of filmmaking is superior, which is extremely theatric and very emotional. Maybe not superior, but different. And he could
Yeah.
see, and I was reading about Jørgen Leth, he's considered like cinema royalty in Denmark. He's very well respected, and you can see how talented he is, but it's an extremely different style that's very like, I don't know. It's a very different style, very different from Lars von Trier, and I think he wanted to force his mentor to make a film that wasn't perfect, and that he was not infuriated, but every single time Jørgen Leth made an incredible film, and
Yeah.
that's not what Lars von Trier wanted. He wanted him to make a messy film like Lars von Trier makes. And then, if you want to talk about what the Fifth Obstruction is, I feel like basically that's what he was saying. So the Fifth Obstruction, and I feel like this played so much into Lars von Trier's narcissism,
Yeah.
is that he didn't need to do anything, Jørgen Leth. The obstruction was that Lars von Trier was going to make the final one. Jørgen Leth had to read a narration that Lars von Trier wrote, but then Jørgen Leth had to be credited as the director. And what did you think about that? Those obstructions.
That one infuriated me. It's like, okay, I know that you're torturing him, and you are like, okay, I couldn't get you to make a shitty thing, even with the cartoon, that I was expecting it to be a shitty thing. So I'm going to be like doing a shitty thing and then just putting it on your name. Let's see how you feel about that. There is a
I was so annoyed. I had forgotten this twist, by the way.
Yeah, it's like, I almost feel like you are like a little kid having a tantrum. That part I felt like, look, everything that you guys have been doing so far, it has been cool. I mean, it has been like a really amazing exercise. But this last one doesn't have any kind of value. it doesn't have like artistic value. It's a bit more like a personal vendetta more than anything else.
Yeah, he's a twisted human being and he wanted his friend to suffer a little bit like him, which is fucking annoying.
But the thing is, like, I had the feeling that Jørgen Leth doesn't give a shit. At that point, he's retiring Haiti. He's like, do whatever you want. He's like,
Yeah, he
I'm
didn't
going
care at
to,
all. He was like,
yeah,
sure, do it. And they hung up
yeah.
the phone.
I'm going to be like reading that shit that you want me to read. Sure, yeah, I will read it. And then when you read it, it's like, oh my god, it's like this so super self-condescending bullshit about like you wanted me to do shit, but I actually survived. It's like,
So
okay,
wait, wait,
you
wait.
win
So what
now.
he wrote was
Yeah.
what Lars von Trier wrote was a letter from Jorgen Leth to Lars von Trier, which just infuriated me. And it basically explains what he was trying to do with the last four obstructions, and then said, "But you couldn't break me." Oh.
It's like, it's true. That part is like cringe-worthy. It's like up to that point, I felt like, okay, this is a cool exercise. I'm looking forward to the fifth one. And even when he says that you only have to say, at that point, I wasn't smelling what was going to happen. But when it was starting, it's like, holy shit, man, you're sick. You're just sick. It's like it's exactly that. It's like, it's that mentality. It's like, I'm going to be like saving cinema. It's like that mentality is like, I'm a god that Lars von Trier has. That is a, if you had like a bit less of, I don't know if calling overconfidence, or self-centered kind of thing, is like you would be such an amazing person, and director, but nope, you have to just cross the line and just go into that area of I want to punch you in the face.
But you also just gave an impassioned speech about how you wish there were more Lars von Trier. So
I do because I have, well, not too many because then it would be insane. But I had the feeling that is like at least he has creative ideas. He has like the kind of I'm not afraid for crossing a line.
no.
It's like I honestly, it's like when I read about Dogma the first time, I was mind blown. And I was like just trying to debate, is like, is this guy an asshole? Or is there really like truth behind of this? And the truth is like both things are correct. This guy is an asshole, and there is a bit of truth on that.
And then we watched The Idiots.
Holy shit, yeah. When I was the idiot, it's like, holy, yeah, that guy is, yeah, both things. And simulated orgy. But yeah, I mean, I honestly I liked it until I got to the fifth one, and then I felt like, no, Lars, please just
But
stop.
but it still was a good film in that you were able to watch Lars von Trier ruin even this. Like
Sure, but that
this
was
was a
not the
great,
purpose.
interesting documentary, and then wow, he really managed to squat over Jorgen Leth and piss on him like a nymphomaniac.
God, sure, but it's like at the same time, it's like you didn't need to go there. It's like, why did you go there? What are you trying to achieve at the point? It's like it's no longer about like the piece that you are producing. It's about like just your ego. That's the only thing that matters to you at that point. It's no longer about like the piece that is going to remain forever there. It's about you as a person.
And uh, Lars von Trier throughout the film was talking on like when he was alone, saying he was being a psychoanalyst for Jorgen Leth, and he had these like he thought he was changing him for the better. And then at the end of the documentary, I maybe I was uh, projecting my own things, but I thought Jorgen Leth like was like, okay, yeah, we had this fun little thing to do, and Lars von Trier was like, I know him better than he knows himself.
God, that point. It was like, holy shit. He said, Jorgen, you have better stuff to do with your life than
Go
just
back to
this
Haiti. Go
case. Yeah.
back to Haiti.
I mean, he
He lives
did.
in Haiti, by the way.
Yeah. But it was a bit more like, look, why did you get up and tangle into this guy's madness? Yeah, I mean, like sometimes when you hear about an actor or a director or a screenplay, sorry, a screenwriter, you think is that I would love to just be friends with this person. About like, okay, I would love to actually just get to know him in a bit more of a different environment. With Lars von Trier,
Nope,
after
nope.
watching
I
this, it's
have
like,
no
no,
interest.
no,
Nope.
I don't want to get involved. This is a toxic person. This is just crazy.
But it is interesting that for whatever reason, Lars von Trier feels an attraction to this filmmaker with such a distinctly very different style. And the same about Jørgen Leth. They're friends, and he's interested in Lars von Trier.
Because I think that is like from the perspective of what they are narrating and what is their style. Probably they may be like the two more interesting Danish directors alive.
Interesting.
It's, I mean, I'm just trying to think is that if I think about Spain, I'm pretty sure that Pedro Almodovar has a okay relationship with other good directors, or like they were like Vigas Luna, they had a slightly different kind of style, but probably they actually communicated with each other.
But would you say that Almodovar is one of the most interesting Spanish directors working today?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
To be
if
honest,
he,
I don't know Danish film enough to comment on this.
no,
Who
no,
was the other big Dogma director?
the big dogma director. Oh, it's the one of Mifune. No, Celebration.
Yes,
Celebration
that guy.
Dogma. It was Thomas Winterberg.
Yes, I like that guy. He makes interesting
Yeah,
films.
he
Not
did the
always good
Hunt.
films, but
He did the Hunt that I still need to watch. Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, Celebration was pretty good. And also the other one that he was Mifune. You didn't watch Mifune, no?
I don't think so.
Soren
But I
Krag
did see The
Jørgensen.
Hunt. The Hunt was incredible. Really, really good.
Yeah.
He had an English language one that was just really Dear Wendy, and Wendy is the name of a gun.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so going back to the Five Obstructions, what about the three questions that we always ask? Is that do you think that this is like artistically pleasing? Do you think that you will remember this movie and would you recommend it?
I would recommend this, absolutely. I would watch this again. This was my second time. And I don't know that there was any strong direction in the actual documentary that we watched, which
Yeah,
followed them and the production of the films. There was nothing particularly interesting, but the subject matter is very, very interesting. This is a good movie for me.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, I would recommend it not to everyone. I had a feeling that it crosses like a line between like just being a documentary and being an art piece. So I had a feeling that it's interesting only if you can appreciate artistic stuff. It's not interesting. It's not a enjoyable film just for the sake of spending time watching it.
You have to have some sensibilities about
Yeah,
cinema as an art form. Like, otherwise you're going to miss all the references and
exactly. Yeah.
so
I think that is artistically pleasing. Is that the part about the documentary is like just functional. There is no effort on that. It's like just how you say like hand on camera. But like sure, yeah, let's just display these two guys like just
oh
making
yeah.
jokes and just eating caviar. But the shorts is that the four first ones they are mind blowing. They are
They're
like just
incredible. Each one was
yeah.
more beautiful than, well, did you like the cartoon or the one in Berlin? Was it Berlin?
Yeah, I like the one in Berlin, the one that it reimagines
Yeah.
everything. Is
I
Berlin or
loved
Brussels?
those two.
Yeah, yeah,
Brussels. It is Brussels.
yeah. I love that one. It's like I thought, okay, this is so imaginative. It's true that there is a bit more of a narrative to this one compared with the original one, but it's like it actually just displays that it's the 2000s. The kind of artistic style that I could do on the 60s couldn't work here, so I need to just give a bit more of context. So there is a bit more of a clear way of saying like the perfect human is actually just paying for prostitutes.
And then flying to Caracas.
Yep, yeah. So there is a bit more like, okay, I get it, but it makes sense. It's exactly what it would happen in the 2000s if someone were to remake that kind of sort. So I felt like that's mind blowing how smart this was done. How aware of the sensibilities of the time it was done. And that guy was like, what, like 60 at that point? They're like, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, so I liked his shorts so much that it's your pick this week, but next week we will be watching Jørgen Leth feature-length fictional film, not a documentary, which makes
Yeah.
perfect.
I think that probably the first one is the one that I felt a bit more like, yeah, I mean, it's a good cinema exercise, but I
Yeah.
don't think that it's as good as an art piece, you
It
know?
didn't resonate with me nearly as much as the next three.
Yeah. And I have to say that the cartoon one, I like it. but I also had the feeling that it falls so hard. I mean, I had the feeling that I'm a bit more biased from the conversation that they have before they record it, and also because he doesn't feel so involved with the end product as with the other ones.
Yeah,
You
but in
know,
terms of visually, I thought it was
oh yeah,
stunning, like stunning what they did.
yeah. There are a couple of the shots that they display. You know, even when he goes to see it, there is a, I wish that I had this as a poster. I just have it on my wall. You know, like for example, when he falls, when the human falls to the ground, that is like this, like red background with some black lines, and there's like different frames of him falling into the ground. It's like that's gorgeous. That's like just amazing. So I liked it, but I also feel like it was cheaper than the other ones. There was like less effort from Jordan Leth. Not that it's bad. It's like I love
No,
it,
no, no,
but
it's
it's
fair.
like yeah, but it's like when watching the documentary, I felt like sure. If I'm going to remember this a couple of years in the future, honestly, I don't think so.
Really,
Yeah, I
I've
don't.
remembered it for years and years.
But you didn't remember the fifth one.
Yeah, it's true. I couldn't remember the details. I remembered I liked it and I knew the basic premise.
Yeah. Yeah, so honestly, I think that is a good documentary. It's a very, very strange exercise, and I like it, in that perspective about like only Lars von Trier could be involved with something like this.
So, do you remember I told you that there were rumors that an American famous director was going to do this? So, I couldn't remember the details, but I found it. This was a rumor in 2010 that Marty Scorsese
Yeah.
and Robert De Niro were going to remake Taxi Driver
I love that.
using the Five Obstructions, and then like a year later, Martin Scorsese was like, "No, we're not doing that."
No, because honestly, it's like Taxi Driver, when I watched it the first time, I felt like this is such a 70s film. It's like this is a film that if you had to remake by nowadays standards, it would be completely different. I
Yeah.
don't know how, but it doesn't fit. It's like completely timely to that time.
Yep, I agree. I'm glad they
Yeah.
didn't do that, but I would like to see other directors do the same thing. I thought this was super interesting to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I had a feeling that only really good directors could do something like this in a successful way.
Yeah, but imagine like if Gaspar Noé and Quentin Tarantino like got together. That would be super cool.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a very, very intense combination. I don't know exactly what will come out of that.
But it could be an interesting thing for directors to do. I would watch it, especially if they were good directors that I'm already interested in their body of work.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, definitely, and I think that Gaspar Noé is actually like a really good pick from the perspective that I think that he also thinks more of himself than he really is, as Lars von Trier, and also Quentin Tarantino, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah, they all do really.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that there are directors out there that they are like just evaluating themselves in the correct value of their skills, like Steven Spielberg.
So, have you decided on a score?
Yeah, I think that I'm going to go with seven.
Oh, well, mine was 7.5. And to be honest, until we discussed further, I probably would have given it an 8. But now some of the problems are a little more obvious.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy that we watched it. Honestly, it's like I like it as an exercise, but it's like holy shit, this the last one Trier is like it almost feels from time to time that he does artistic exercise for elevating himself.
Yep. I think he pretended this was all about Jørgen Leth, and then it ended up being about
No,
Lars
it's
von
about
Trier.
himself. It's about himself. It's like I'm thinking about Europa, and I don't think that we were recording at that point. No, no we weren't. But in Europa, I'm thinking about all the narration, all the voiceover that it happens. That is like you want to torture the audience. It's not about the work that you're doing. It's about like just torturing the audience. It's about like
And that's
just
why I love him. I love that I paid $12 to see Nymphomaniac 2, and then I just feel gross. It's an interesting experience. It's the same reason I watch Michael Haneke.
But on it, look, I was actually thinking about that. It's like one of them is that I hate to love, that is Lars von Trier. And it's like the other one is like I don't know. I don't think that it's like I love to hate. I think that there is a bit of love to hate. It's not really a love to hate. It's like there is also a hate to love, but it's a bit
With
more like because you make me feel bad, but only because of the end result on me. It's not because you're an asshole.
but it's basically Stockholm syndrome. He abuses the shit out of you, and you keep coming back because you love him, and you now.
Sure, sure, but it's a bit because of how I feel about it. It's like you were talking like pretty well the last time about like I think the last one tree is like way more manipulative, but he's like way more. He shows his cards about like I'm manipulating you and I'm better than you. Is that he tries to just display about like how amazing he is as a human being. Hanek is about like, look, I'm manipulating you, but it's like we are all garbage, me included, and you too. So it's like just deal with it.
Everybody sucks, guys.
Everything,
Relax.
yeah. It's like, look, I'm not telling you that I'm better than you. It's like, don't worry about that. This is not about like superiority on my end. That's one tree is about like some kind of inferiority complex and just trying to feel superior with other people.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all.
Because what he does with Jørgen Leth is at the point that he's telling, he's like, you need to go back to India. And he's telling, he's like, look, I can't. He's like, no, you have to. I felt pretty bad about the guy. I'm like, holy shit, and that's your friend. And he's telling you that.
I told you what I like in men. A
Oh,
lot
yeah.
older than me,
Yep.
and is a little mean to me. So, I mean, Lars von Trier and
That's
Michael
true.
Haneke, they're built.
And maybe Jørgen Leth, he actually likes the opposite, about like just younger than him, but also like pretty mean. Because that's what Lars von Trier was doing. At that point, I felt like, why don't you slap him in the face and just leave?
Lars von Trier pretends to be a sadist dom top, but is actually a versatile bottom.
I think that next time that we watch a movie, like when we talk about the next one, is that we should actually just try to figure it out. What is the role that they have? The director is like, I think that the director should be, like a first bottom.
He's an otter who desperately wants to be a muscle bear.
Oh yeah, yeah. But internally he's a twink. Yeah, that's a pretty good read. I have a feeling that he's like a fucking asshole. Honestly,
I know.
He's,
I also don't feel like being friends with him, and it's weird because he seems fucked up, and I like fucked up, but no, he just seems like somebody I would feel uncomfortable sitting next to.
look, is that there are like many movies from Lars von Trier that I genuinely like. But it's a guy that I'm going to be like just if I were to have coffee with him, I would be like just containing myself and it's like, okay, this is the point that I punch you in the face. It's like just like okay, just hold, Jose, just hold. There's going to be a point. There's going to be an opportunity. Because he's going to be like giving it to you. With Haneke, if I were to have coffee, I would be feeling just depressed from the beginning. He says, I don't know why we're doing this. Can you just give me like a razor and we can just cut our wrist open?
I hope that he's like the opposite of Robin Williams. Like he seems funny and happy, but inside he's really dark. And Michael Haneke, his art is really dark, but he's really just like a goofball that likes bad humor.
I don't think that he'll be doing like that jokes to you. He's like the guy that is the piano player. The pianist is she's not going to be like that.
Well, I'm glad you liked it, and we had similar scores. I liked it a little bit better than you, but I think we feel the exact same way about the film
Yeah.
itself. So
Yeah. So next time we are watching because it's my pick, but you already watched it, but I really want to watch it, and you told me that it had been a really long time since you watched it the last time.
Yep.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? That, if I'm not mistaken, is from Mike Nichols, the one that destroyed my soul a couple of times ago with Wit.
yes, it's the same director, and also you don't like this movie, but he also directed Closer, which I love with all my heart. But let's talk about that next.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. We can just withhold those thoughts until there. I'm surprised that we didn't talk about Closer when we talk about Wit.
I brought it up. I must have. Either we also, two listeners, have talks before and after the podcast, so maybe it was.
Yeah, it was offline.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that that's a wrap, no? Or do you have anything
Yep.
else to say? Okay.
Nothing more to say about Lars von Trier.
This time.
This time.
This time. We'll go back to it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm really surprised that we recorded. Oh no, Europa, we actually recorded the
I thought
podcast.
we did because we
Yeah,
were
we
in
did.
Lone Star. This is when we could go to bars.
Yep, yep.
Yep.
God, I missed the Lone Star. Oh, okay. Well, to those two people out there that don't have anything else better to do with their lives than listening to us, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, and wash your hands.
Bye.